Michael, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I wanted to talk to you about the script first because I was blown away seeing that Abby Miller wrote this script, who a lot
Mm.
of people will know from her acting work.
Hmm.
I knew as Ellen May in Justified. It is, I mean, the film itself is kind of all the way out there, but you made it intensely visual, which obviously I think it deserves. What was the evolution from script to screen for you?
Worked with Abby, she had an original draft of the script that had been one of those things that, a lot of people have in Hollywood where it's a script that they've written and had been sitting in a drawer, for a long time. And I read it, and there was a central psychological truth sort of in the writing that I really liked and really worked hard with her to develop and bring out throughout the whole thing. And we changed quite a bit of the story and changed the ending, and there was a lot and some of the characters and stuff like that. So it was a really healthy, strong development process as we went through it. But it was really really fruitful, and I think the end result is a movie that is unlike. I think it's unlike any other horror movie exactly. I tried to tread across all of the horror genres and try to get a sort of the pleasure and the scares and the interest of like folk horror or body horror or monster movies or a John Carpenter movie or and a David Cronenberg movie and a little bit of all of that in there because I felt like based on where we went with the rewrite, now I had license to do all those things, to include like all these genres, all these horror genres in them. And not then like as people have said about this movie, it's a genre bender, but I also call it like it's a genre breaker. By the end of it, it takes all of those conventions and actually snaps them. Like, and I think that for the viewer, it can be a little bit like, wait, oh wait, it's not that kind of movie, it's this kind of movie, and then it goes, and then it takes another left turn, and then it takes another left turn, and then I think it's what I hope and what I my the hope for the movie, and I've had this borne out by some of the audience who've seen it, is that the last 20 minutes of the movie like is the answer. And in the end, it's important for the audience to know that there is a reason. Like it's not just a random sort of traipse through things. Like it's a investigation of the nature of horror
Right.
as it goes forward in all of its facets. So horror is a kind of genre where it's presented to the audience truths, realities that are unassimilatable, unexperienceable. It's too horrible to actually like recognize that this is an actual thing that goes on. So horror turns it into a way for humans for us to process narratively things that are too awful. And it's moving through a lot of those, I think, methodologies in the movie to get to a final place where there's an experience that makes sense of why we would be going through all of those different facets, but also brings you to an experience of true horror and an experience of someone who has truly gone mad.
You answered my next question perfectly because I was going to talk to you about breaking genres. So to say that it shattered it is
Mm.
amazing. But let's focus on two because I love talking to people who have backgrounds in these two specific genres, which is comedy and horror. And obviously,
Yeah.
you've
Uh,
directed episodes of Community, Superstore. You did Drop Dead Gorgeous. Comedy and horror kind of are brothers or
mm,
siblings,
for
in
sure.
a lot of ways. But how would you define the relationship between the two?
Well, there's this sort of like both of them are a sort of like dark magic, which is that when you're creating anything, in order for it to be successful, you need to be invested, not necessarily, you need to be invested in the process. Like you need to work through something where you're detached from the actual ending, because otherwise it becomes sort of brittle and dead. If you're like, it should be like this, like I need to be in a process, I'm coming up with things going forward, so it feels like it's alive, it's in the moment. But for both comedy and horror, there also you're sort of like lying to yourself and going like, no, I'm not attached to the outcome, but you are. Like for comedy, it's like you want laugh, and in horror, you're after like that like scare, like fear. You're an invocation of fear in all of its guises. So it's that dark magic of like I'm actually aiming at a very specific target, but I'm going to pretend that I'm not. And there's also, you can tell too, also with comedy, of course, and horror, there's a similar terminology of like, there's that feeling in comedy of like, where people, everyone's heard a comic go like, I got up there and I killed. It's like, it's really the same visceral feeling when you're on stage performing. Since I have a performing background and a writing background with that, it's the same feeling of like, ah! like.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michael. Best of luck with the film.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching it. Thanks for hello. Bye bye.